It is a blue blood Big Ten SEC battle here at AT&T Stadium.
Ohio State is back on track. We're finally done hearing about Oregon.
No ranked opponents other than Ohio State. Is this do or die for them? Of all the playoff teams, the Buckeyes have played the fewest snaps of all of them. And Chip Kelly says that is by design. They've been preparing for this extended 12-team playoff like the NFL. All 5 starters going into the first matchup against Oregon, losing 2 starters going into this one, and lots of changes as well. What is your confidence level in that?
O-line is very easy.
I can't speak on it. I've never played offensive line, but I don't think it's easy. They have no passing threat whatsoever. Cade McNamara is averaging just over 112 yards passing per game. He has 2 interceptions, and he has yet to throw a touchdown.
This is the team that you have to beat, and this fan base is brutal to him.
How did it feel hearing that loud of cheering for Ryan Day after all that he has been through this season?
I was very impressed with the way they refocused for Purdue. The Boilermakers came into that game 1-7, but the Buckeyes didn't overlook them.
I talked with Jim Knowles, and he gave a lot of emphasis on how much of a veteran group this is. Having experience really pays dividends when it comes to these big games. Tons of line movement in this game.
Yeah.
Probably as much movement as we've seen on the Ohio State offensive line as of late. The players are also keeping the coaches accountable. We heard players saying that they held their coaches accountable, and that's such an open line of communication. How is that unique to other universities you've been to? Would you have felt comfortable as a freshman telling him when you thought something should have been different or keeping him accountable? It really seems like Chip was having fun with this offense. He was cracking jokes about how the best part of being a coordinator versus a head coach, being up in the box rather than the sideline, is that you can use the bathroom in between series. You grew up thinking of Cardale Jones as the quarterback. He said, I feel old. Do you feel old coming back here?
A little bit.
Tennessee Orange, they showed up.
Championship water.
I don't know if that's water. I don't think that's... He even said that he'll try to rattle him at practice, but we'll just say, don't worry, coach, I got this. The people in this building all look to you as their leader, and you come in and you command the offense. Was there a moment where you felt like you really won them over? You spoke about how significant it was for them to get a mobile QB. Looking at him, what are the keys to this offense for Chip Kelly? The Buckeyes have arrived in California for their rematch against Oregon. Part of playing a football game at a baseball field is the teams will actually be spending halftime right here in the dugout. Charles Huff will have to have a lot more than unlimited amounts of Tudor's biscuits to score in this one. I'm laying the points with Ohio State. Just 53 rushing yards for the Longhorns last week against Arizona State. And they go up against Ohio State's top 5 rush defense. That put Oregon in the negatives in the Rose Bowl. You guys collectively had these conversations to where you are right now, national championship media days. What would you say to all those guys who were making that decision in that moment? This being your last game as a Buckeye, What do you think you'll say to them? Have you thought about that yet? Center Seth McLaughlin, who suffered an Achilles injury at practice Tuesday. That is the second starter on the Ohio State offensive line to go out for the season. But that does not make Seth any less impactful. He showed up right back at practice to support his team because Carson Hinzman has relied on him throughout the changes that unit has made. It's been an all business mindset, all playoffs. Players have acknowledged that's just what playoffs do, but some of them have never seen Coach Day like this before. Coach Day has talked about how he struggled with the losses to this team. But you only have 1 on your record. Can you talk about the weight that game holds? The roads were tough. It took twice as long. There were cars piled up on the side of the road. It was scary going about 25 miles per hour, so make sure you plan ahead. One thing that Ryan Day said he's preparing for is Josh Heupel's high-tempo offense. And what they've done is prepare the scout team and train them to run tempo.
We keep hearing from Coach Day, Chip Kelly, about how it is a battle of attrition in this 12-team playoff, and that is coming to fruition here in the postseason. Ohio State has played slower on offense, and that was by design. They were playing the fewest snaps of any playoff team, and that's because they have to sustain 16, 17 games to win the national championship.
The hardest job in college football is at Ohio State to coach here because of the scrutiny and the pressure that the fans put on. How does it feel different this year? You asked him, hey, challenge me going into that Tennessee game. What were the conversations heading into this one and the rematch against Oregon? The Buckeyes have arrived in Atlanta to face Notre Dame for the 3rd consecutive year, this time for the national championship. How about a 52-yard touchdown to break the freshman rushing record of 2-time Heisman winner Archie Griffin? Immediately, you saw the emotions. Ryan Day in his post-game press conference with tears in his eyes. He knows he disappointed Buckeye Nation and his players. Cody Simon apologizing to the fans, saying, I disappointed you. Donovan Jackson has said he's been getting a lot of practice giving motivational speeches with all the rotations at left guard, the position he's played for the past 3 seasons. Moving Donovan Jackson over from guard to play a position he has not played since high school. So why not get your first start in a top 5 matchup on the road against a powerful Penn State pass rush?
You have the same energy as us because we have crazy fans and you always have tons of energy.
Yeah,
After that Oregon loss, we know this is a very brutal fan base, but what are you seeing in Coach Day that the fans are not?
some trust in him.
This was the first time against Nebraska that we really saw the offense struggle, primarily with the run game. But you come into that game with over 10 targets per game in conference play, but you only got 5 looks against Nebraska. Were you hoping to get more? They will be playing in your typical football stadium. In fact, it's not even a football stadium. The Buckeyes head to Wrigley Field, the home of the Chicago Cubs.